Hello dear tea friends from around the world, and welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Herler, the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com tea boutique. Today we are going to talk about psychological development. Now you might wonder what does it have to do with tea? Am I going to give professional medical advice? No, I'm not. I'm going to share some experiences simply, and if you really need medical help, go and see a professional. But nevertheless, I think I have something to say about the subject, and I wanted to share with you who are following me and who are curious about maybe what I have to say. And it struck me that actually very often tea should be very social. As a Kung Fu Cha is supposed to be about three people having tea together, and then a chashi, modern chashi, is actually can be more than three. But especially with the pandemic, in the last 2 years, we have been kept at home and have been drinking tea by ourselves, and so it has become a much more almost lonely experience. And now my take is that when you are drinking tea alone, it can be very enjoyable. Especially if you are drinking a very good tea, you should really be able to enjoy it fully and almost reach a certain bliss and paradise, so good the tea is. But sometimes you don't, not because of the tea, especially you who have followed my classes and have learned all about tea technique and have selected very carefully the teas you are brewing, especially from my selection. But joke aside, sometimes the silence feels heavy. There is something else that is brewing, but it's not in the teapot, it's in yourself, and it makes you're not fully at ease at being alone with tea. Something is not completely matching. Now, I had this thought, especially watching a TV show a couple of weeks ago called When Heroes Fly. It's an Israeli TV series about a bunch of friends who went to the army, and on their then they went to the reserve and were in an operation in South Lebanon. And when they came back from this mission, they were ambushed, and they lost their leader, who told them to go away because there was no time to save him. The enemies were outnumbering them, and the Israeli artillery were going to destroy a tank that was nearby containing precious information. You see this in the first 5 minutes of the TV series, so I'm not spoiling anything. And when they go back, at first everybody says, "Oh, Akol Beseder, everything's fine." Of course, their friend and leader is dead, and they mourn him. But then life continues, and they feel, okay, no, I'm fine. But later on in the story, you see that these characters, they each unfold, they each unravel. One does drug and goes to Colombia to do very heavy drugs and loses contact with his friends. Another will get cancer. A third one, Dubi, will lose his face, and another guy gets so crazy that he regularly pees in his bed at night, and breaks up with his girlfriend. So everybody's a mess, and just because there is a ghost in their past, a ghost that they are not able to face with openly and talk about it also in a caring way. So At the same time, I'm also reading Proust, À la recherche du temps perdu, and In Search of Lost Time. And this is a really an interesting story that does what these characters are not doing. As a narrator, the guy who tells the story, he's really going into his past, explaining everything that has happened, all the fears that he had, all the traumas that are linked to his past, and all the misunderstandings that were in his past. And as you read this very intimate story, where sometimes, as I explained a few classes ago about the Madeleine, he is drinking tea, eating Madeleine, and this helps him remember the past. And so the quietness of the moment, the taste of the tea with the Madeleine helps him go back in his past and understand things about himself that otherwise he would not have if he had just led his life and without ever thinking about what is in the past. And the past for him is so both something beautiful with a lot of happiness as a child that he wants to remember, but also there are some dark phases in his past. He remembers that he would wait for his mother to come to say good night to him every night, and that when she would go away, this would be really tearing him apart, that he is really so much close to his mother and almost in love with his mother that these moments were always a pain. And I think reading it and writing it down for him really helped him to overcome and face this fear. So from the synchronicity of these two works, this theory about characters who don't face their parts, and the book where the narrator really does face his part, I really think there is a positive thing that we can get from doing this, and this will help us to better appreciate our tea, and maybe also it's something that we can do like a Proust is doing with the help of tea. It's when you are in a very quiet mood, when you are brewing tea, also you are making yourself very comfortable. Let's do this. You are really treating yourself. You are indulging in something beautiful. So you feel you are. The tea is helping you to get very relaxed about yourselves. Let your thoughts really come easier to your mind, to your consciousness. Things that maybe are buried deep inside in the normal daytime life. These are things that are not bothering. These are things that that you have forgotten. But with the tea experience, it's really a moment where you are very comfortable, where you feel more at ease, and where these souvenirs can come easier to yourself. So this can really help you remember them. Let's add some warmth. I'm preparing an Oriental Beauty, like in the article I wrote this week, to also for more. Oriental Beauty is really a very sweet tea, Jessit Bitten, and really it's about having the warmth, feeling loved, actually, that you want. Let me see. And sorry, I start to be a bit nervous, so that's normal. I just want to check that you can still see me. Is everything okay? I don't. I seem to have some technical difficulties. Sorry for this. This is I'm doing it live, so this can happen. Please let me know if you can hear me and see me. All is well. Okay. So it must only be on my end that there is this problem. So I'm making some tea too. Also to find some courage to go forward, because so what I want to do is lead by example. You can only you cannot ask people to do things that you are not willing to do yourself. So I also wanted to take this opportunity to face my own fears, face my own darker past, and I did so by writing it down first on the blog, and I did it also thanks to the tea that first gave me really what you would say like a positive zone, a zone where you feel comfortable, and also where you can remember more easily. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. I still cannot see myself, so I have to do a couple of things. Anyway, the idea is also to not to feel too comfortable. If you want to grow, you always need to be a bit uncomfortable at one point, and so you need maybe first a nice place to do the difficult thing of remembering your past, and then writing it down. This can be uncomfortable to put it down, also to express it with words, what's deep inside you, and then to have a text, and maybe later on even say it out aloud. So, but tea can help in the process. Hopla, can, however, sorry. Sorry, now I really don't see myself. Okay. So, yeah. So let's tell you my story, my trauma as a child. It was in April 1980 that we went to a Klasswert, to probably my very first outing with my class, where I would stay overnight, not with my parents, but for the first time with my class, a good 100 kilometers away from our town, in a Le Rocher d'Abo. That's the Dabo Rock in Lorraine, and like all kids, I would play soccer happily at any occasion, and this is what I did. I also remember at that time I would often have fever very easily, have a cold, catch cold, and so maybe what happened is that the teacher gave me an aspirin to treat my cold, my fever, and shortly after, or in the afternoon when I was playing soccer with my friends, I noticed whenever I would hit the ball, I would get a bruise. It would be blue, and then I stopped, showed my bruises to the teacher. She asked me to rest in where we would stay, and then after a while I go pee, and I see, ooh, I'm peeing blood. This is red blood coming out instead of something more yellow, like normal pee. And I show it to the teacher. She gets really very nervous. I think we asked a doctor to come, but finally what I really remember is that she also called my father, who is a medical doctor, general practitioner, and then he came to pick me up and take me away from this class. On the way back to home, to the hospital, I remember there was a thunderstorm on the road, and I was scared also by the thunderstorm. My father reassured me that thunder would not hit the car because the tires are made of rubber, and the electricity cannot go through. So I was a bit reassured, but my father did not speak much, and he was driving quite fast. So in the car, so I was also still very afraid of what's going on, especially with the thunder. You are feeling sick. Imagine so, but this is only the one of the things that I remember. But this is not nothing coming compared to what's coming. I was diagnosed as not having enough small plaquettes, these cells that come when you have a wound and aggregate around the wound to close it. So actually I was really in a very dangerous condition, because if an inner bleeding would not have stopped if I would have any inner bleeding in the head. I would not be here to teach you tea today. So it's good I stopped playing soccer. This was really the well, if we had been playing American football, probably I would not be here. So it was really something that was very dangerous, and that required then that I take a lot of medicine, and that I stay in the hospital for a month. And another thing, it also required that they take some of my marrow bone to do some exams on it. And I remember I had to go in the operation room. I was put to sleep, counting to 10. I still remember that you had to count to 10. I did not count to the end with the anesthesia. And these are memories that I still have from 30 years ago, and not very nice memories. And now really the worst memories are actually not me in the hospital. It's me facing these other ill kids who were, for several of them, in in this hospital they were staying for chronic disease, so they would always be there. They would never leave actually the hospital. One in particular was did not have fully his mind anymore, and he was physically also malformed, could not walk by himself. Later I would so his life really was crap, and at night, of course, he would cry, he would scream, and this made really the nights like nightmares. I would have nightmares and pee in the bed when I was asleep, and being awake would be the same. Would also be a nightmare. So for the first time, having had a really very bright, loving childhood, I was put in a place that was at night really dark, horrible, and but it was life. What can you say? This and being sick, that's where you had to be, and there's nobody to blame about it. And blaming anybody is not helpful. Of course, I would have simply wished not to be there, but this is a matter of fact that I took in a lot in a very short time. I had the support of my friends from school. They all wrote a book that I've kept at home. With everybody would have write one page on a hardcover, and they made a book out of it. And so it's like if they were all with me together in this room. And my good friend lent me his comics that I would read during the day, but at night anyway, there were no visitors allowed at nights, and it's the nights that were terrible. So this is a feeling that later on, I think, made me more reserved. Another thing that, because I was so scared, I also felt that the nurses did not have so much time. You're just a kid to them, so how do you stand out? How do you make yourself become loved in this environment? So I developed a trick. I had to take 10 pills of cortisone in one time, every day, 2 or 3 times a day, I forgot. And I learned to take these 10 pills in one time, even without a glass of water. So I would learn to generate saliva in my mouth, and then drink these 10 pills at once. So at first I started with 2, 3, then little by little I increased the dose until I was after a few days able to swallow all the 10 pills at once, and then I would get always a nice look from the nurse. Wow, you are quite something for them. For many kids, they had trouble to get them to take their pills, and here I was like a number one in the class, something I would always strive to be later on. The good boy who was taking 10 pills at a time, with them. Not breaking a sweat for them was very easy. So I was their good customer, and and if a new one who did not know me saw this, and again I would get this praise, and for them a relief that they don't have to force you to do this. Some kids would fight against this. So I think from that moment I really try to always please the adults in the room, to be very nice. And then as a teenager, this caused a problem in me and caused my asthma problems later on. That's what I understand from thinking about it, because at the same time I wanted to please the adults, but as a teenager you are trying to do things to rebel against the adults, especially against your parents. So this caused even a bigger conflict between me and my parents. And if I'm here now in Taiwan, 7,000 miles away from my parents' home, probably it still has something to do with the fact that in this room during these months in the hospital, I felt the need to please adults, and later on, teenager, you have to live your own life and to learn to live with your own rules. And you cannot always please your parents, so otherwise you are not living your own life. So this is also something that explains my presence here to some extent. Of course, there are a lot of good things that have come out from this. It has built who I am, somebody with so trying to please others, and more calmer, more thoughtful attitude. So this is something I'm not going to change in the rest of my life. But writing it down and also being able to talk about it, I feel already that it's a good thing, and it's something that helps to better enjoy the pleasures of life, like tea. So thank you very much for listening to my boring story, and we won't do too many of these psychological classes, but as you can see, it's not so difficult. If you really need professional help, go to see one. I probably should have done this a long time ago. Of course, it's something I've already thought and written about before, but doing it again at this point, I think, was still very helpful, even though it's not going to change too much. But I already feel that actually I'm sweating almost less than on a normal show. So I'm also doing this to go a bit out of my comfort zone and to progress. We make progress always against ourselves. So this is also a challenge I wanted to do, to be able to tell my story in front of a live audience, and see how it goes, and feel also the relief that comes from this. Well, again, thank you very much for listening, and thank you for all your support, all your kindness and help through the years, and this gives me also a lot of good strength to continue this sharing of my tea experience. And you can see they are very, very broad. I can bring everything back to tea, and the tea also is giving me a lot in feedback. So I hope you felt this interesting in sharing, and have a good tea. Thanks. Bye bye.